Well, as always, when I get to the studio, Zach assures me that it's going to take about 6 hours to get sounds, maybe 5 hours. Shouldn't really be a problem. 13 drums, about 30 cymbals, maybe 50 different sound sources, all contained within the kit. Probably, I'd say closer to like 17, 18 hours. We mic'd everything, snare, every tom had its own mic. I believe we used, 19 or 21 channels of his 24 track board. So, we wanted to record it correctly and really mic everything, so everything had its own sound, its own level, and we could really capture the full presence of the big kit, because when you play that many drums, they all contribute to the overall sound of the drum set itself. So you have to play it all as a whole, you have to mic everything as a whole. It was a lot of fun though, so as difficult as it was, we had the opportunity this time to have a whole week for drums instead of a weekend. So we got a good weekend to get really set up and fine-tuned and dial in the sounds and the drums. And then we had the whole week to play with it, going there, recording at our leisure, basically locked out for as many days as we needed. Definitely, you can hear the difference in the production with the digital. It has a lot less of the analog warmth, but it has a lot more bottom and clarity, and it's just a different sound. So when it came time to mix it, that was one of the difficulties, was trying to get the evenness between the first session and the second session, let alone the way we recorded it, the second session being done mainly to a click by myself without the band there, or to reference tapes that we had made of like the music minus drums. And it gave us a lot of flexibility to where if something wasn't happening or we needed more time to work on something, we could just move on or go back and do as many takes as we wanted. And there was no pressure of anybody waiting for their turn or looking over your shoulder. It was a very comfortable recording atmosphere.
Hey Tony, give me one of those rock and roll star stick twirling deals. There he goes. Do that thing where you drop out of the upstairs and land in a seat.
Well, I was really excited because of the Pro Tools. Now we had a good medium to really record the drums the right way and close mic everything. So I went in really looking to have a clear, really rich, full drum sound that had a lot of clarity but had a lot of presence too. As far as playing, it took a real long time to write the album. There was some downtime in between, so it was just a matter of staying focused and fresh to know that when it did come time to record that, you were going to give it, my best performance. And weren't really familiar with the songs. We didn't have a lot of time to play them for like a year and play them out and really dial them in. So we were going in, some of the songs, the drum parts weren't even fully worked out. We were just going for that vibe in the studio, figuring that if we had a fair amount of time to not be rushed, I tried to create some of the parts in the studio on at least 3 or 4 songs. They were spontaneous parts with a rough framework, but I didn't want to have it be real rigid going in with a real orchestrated part. Then so it didn't have a real live vibe to it. I wanted it to have real fresh and be really inspired.
Well, the recording of the bass was very different than the F2 album, where we had amplifiers and different kind of sounds going on. What we did this time was that we had a direct signal from a tube preamp that I have that I use as a DI box to give it a little grit. Then we split that also with a clean DI coming off the board, coming off my GK head with my Harkey 4x10s. We mic'd that up with a 57, and we just blended them all together, to get a real gritty, meaty sound. As far as the basses, I used the same ones I always had. My Ibanez, which I love. I used the Rickenbacker, I think on maybe 2 songs. And the first time I used a fretless in the studio or anywhere, and really fell in love with it. Then I used the fretless for the song Long Way Home, which gave it a total different sound, a total different intensity. It was almost like the song was meant for it. I'm glad that we did.
The hell was that? You call that an outro?
We're just punching in the dun dun. Okay.
We can do that.
Well, you don't need the octave. You just need the low note. Because you already have the octave on the first track.
Okay, cool. All right, gotcha.
Here we go.
Recording the bass and drums was different. It wasn't live like we always do. It was actually the drums were first, and what I had to do is come back and repeat everything that we did while we were rehearsing the songs, and that's real different for me because I always try to play something different. And every time I tried to play something different, it just clashed with what was supposed to be. So it was kind of like doing a rehearse. Every time I tried to change something, I got a howl from my noise brother Tony saying that it won't vibe, it won't do.
My work here is done. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I'm gonna throw the mail.
Nice. Let's go to the next one. Excellent.
When we set up for guitars, the idea was to record all the heavy rhythm tracks at one shot to keep the sound consistent throughout all the songs. So we set up the 5150 combo in the studio, had 2 microphones on it. Then we had a Marshall head in the control room, which we ran a direct line. And then we also ran a direct line straight from the guitar, which we eventually ran through Amp Farm with another distorted tone. So that gave us 4 tracks to choose from to build the basic sound from. Fall in the Grace, the main guitar I used was my Paul Reed Smith McCartney and my Aria hollow body. The hollow body I used for any songs that needed a lot of feedback, like Fall in the Grace and Crimson, because it really has a really open tone to it that just screams when you're standing in front of an amp. So,
Real good, man.